Make some noise for Josh Johnson!
What a week. You know, like I don't want to jinx it, but I'm feeling pretty good. I think we got him. I think in case you didn't know, Diddy has been arrested and charged with just almost everything. Initially, it was sealed, and we just knew they were going to be holding him for a little while. And then they unsealed, and we were like, what? Because Diddy is very important for people to understand. Diddy is, when I say a monster, it's just because I don't want to swear. Diddy isn't a monster the way that, like, a person in your life that you know is evil is a monster. Diddy is a monster in the way that I'm pretty sure even the devil is like, ooh. Ooh, somebody coming for my job. And I know that, you know, you're supposed to say allegedly. But he did all of it. He did everything. He did everything that I believe that Diddy did whatever they say he did. And that doesn't just apply to like the cases he has now. I believe Diddy did stuff he hadn't been accused of yet. I believe Diddy caused inflation. He's even, if I'm not mistaken, being charged with arson in connection with blowing up Kid Cudi's car. Who blows up cars? Let's talk for a sec, because here's the thing. I do understand the intimidation and the general paranoia you build in a person's life when you blow up their car. All right? So I get why people like Diddy and the mob blow up cars. It's very effective. You know, somebody's thinking about testifying and then they're going out and then they go, beep, beep, boosh. And they're like, maybe not. But to blow up a car, really, because he's not blowing up the car himself. Diddy wasn't getting under the car with something with wheels on it in the back and then rubbing wires together and then taping it and then letting the tape fall and be like, and then taping it back. He sent someone else to do that, you know? But they arrested him, and they arrested him. I gotta look at this again to make sure I'm right, but I'm pretty sure the warrant had every name he ever went by in it. Just in case he opened the door and been like, who? No, I don't know a Puff Daddy. No, there's not a Puff here either. Would you be looking for just a general Diddy? Because he's not in. I go by Brother Love. This man did everything. You know, and then they arrested him. They got him locked up in Brooklyn in one of the worst places to be locked up. It's really bad. how bad it is. It's so bad that that prison alone has had several murders, and it is so bad condition-wise that 2 federal judges have already said that they will not send anyone else there. That's where they sent him. And this dude... That's where they sent him. And this dude wanted to make sure he didn't go to jail so bad. So bad. Properly. Like he put it all up. This dude was willing to pay a $50 million bond. Do you know how much you did it? To put up $50 million. $50 million is the type of money where you're like, I can't, first of all, most people don't make $50 million in their entire life, right? So for you to put up that money, just not be in jail yet, you know jail is coming. $50 million. Do you know what you could do with $50 million? You could fix a small country with $50 million US dollars. $50 million, and he was like, and I'll use my home and my jets as the bond. Like, this dude was putting up proper collateral of things he has. Mansion, jet, all of it. And the state said, nah. Just to fully paint the picture, do you realize that the same country that said nah to that is the same country that has bail at heights that are actually unconstitutional for regular people, right? They will, if a judge doesn't like you, or if they feel like, okay, this person maybe didn't do it, but I know he doesn't have means, they will set an unreasonably high bail, which is against the Constitution, just to make sure you can't get out. But they didn't deny your bail. They just set bail at something you couldn't possibly pay, right? That same country got offered $50 million bond. And they were like, nah, because I know you. You know how bad they want you if they don't accept a $50 million bond? And so he's sitting in that jail, and his lawyers are trying to get him out. They went to that judge, and the judge was like, no, I heard what you do. You blow up cars for no reason. How am I supposed to believe? They're like, he's not a flight risk. It's like, no, he won't have to fly if he tampers with every witness we have. No. So the judge denied bail, and then they went to another judge, and they were like, look, $50 million, okay? Got the mansion, got the jets, all right? We also, how about this? I'll stay at home. All right, and I won't interact with any women that aren't the mothers of my children, right? Which is a crazy, what? I won't interact with any women except the women I already terrorize. What an insane. Also, we know you're a predator to dudes too. Like that you're not being slick, being like, I won't talk to any women. No. This dude is the devil. So they denied it again. And his lawyers were pleading. They were like, please, listen, the prison that he is in it's horrible. It's absolutely disgusting. It's terrible conditions. It's traumatizing. It's in his mental health. You can't be at a place like this, And then the more they described it, the more I was listening. I was like, that just sounds like Diddy's house for everybody else. And raided his house, found all manner of stuff. They found 1,000 bottles of baby oil. Let's be clear here. Diddy is a monster. Diddy is the devil, right? The 1,000 bottles alone was enough for me to lock him up forever. Are you drinking it? 1,000 bottles. 1,000. Wooka booka. I went to a friend's house one time, and it was just like a little quick get together. They had made dinner and everything. I went to the bathroom, right? And I had a headache before I got to the party. So then, I told them while I was there, I was like, hey, I've been having this headache for like hours. Do you have like an Advil, something I can take? And they were like, yeah, go to the bathroom in the medicine cabinet, should be the Advil, right? And so then, chatting, I finally go over to the bathroom. I open the medicine cabinet. The Advil is not there. And so I go to that lower part, under the sink. I'm like, maybe the Advil will be under there. And under the sink, I saw 3 bottles of baby oil. And I was like, these are some freaks. They do not have a child. And they had 3 bottles of baby oil. 1 bottle means you get busy. 3, what are you stocking up for? The fact that Diddy had 1,000 means he should be under a prison right now. I can't even imagine. I can't imagine what it would be like to be Diddy's lawyer. You gotta imagine it's a pretty good job to have. Because he's about to drop millions and millions of dollars in court and on lawyers that no one expects to win. Think about that. Anyone in here could be Diddy's lawyer. Like, he's not gonna beat the case anyway. It might as well be me standing there like, yeah, that's him. He says he didn't, so take that into consideration. You know what I mean? Just filing motions. I don't even know what I'm talking about. Yeah. That is crazy. I mean, what can you do if you're Diddy's lawyer? They have so much. They have so much because Diddy did so much. He did it and he recorded it. He recorded himself doing everything he did and blackmailing people. So then when the people say he's been blackmailed, the tape, the feds already have the tape that they're talking about that was being used to blackmail them. So he basically made his own case this entire time. As Diddy's lawyer, all you can do is be like, that one tape is grainy. We don't know. We don't even know if that's him in that one, okay? The other 222, yes, but this one is hard to make out who is in there at all. We don't know. Diddy's lawyer was on camera taking questions from the media, which seems like a bad idea. Because unless Diddy has a twin, his lawyer doesn't have anything to say that's helpful. Because the lawyer was just talking to some of the press, and there was someone who asked him. They said that they found 1,000 bottles of baby oil when they raided his house, and his lawyer did his best. He put in a valiant effort. This man said, well, I don't know if it was 1,000. It was a lot. That's your lawyer. It was a lot. But you know, there's a Costco just down the street from his house, and as you know, Americans love to buy in bulk. The whole time he's talking, you could tell he's trying not to laugh. It's like, if he's buying the baby oil in bulk, why wasn't anything else in bulk? It's insanity. We should have known, and I think a part of us did know, that Diddy was the devil when he did Making the Band. If you're too young to remember, there was a time when MTV had music on it. And in that time, Diddy, who I think went by P. Diddy at the time, maybe, or Puff, or it was Puff, he was him, okay? And he did a show where he would try to make a group, right? A hip-hop group or an R&B group or whatever. And throughout the course of that show, he would America's Next Top Model these people, all right? He would put them through absolute hell. There was one time that I think he made them walk, I'm gonna get this wrong, but he made them walk from like Brooklyn to Harlem to go get him a piece of cheesecake. And we watched it and we were like, that seems excessive. I don't know what that has to do with singing. The show ran for a few seasons and a couple of people came out of it, but most of the groups pretty much failed because he wasn't really making a group. He was just manipulating people. He was just being terrible, you know? I think we should have really known who Diddy was through and through a couple Halloweens ago. Because I don't know if you remember, but Diddy went as the Joker, and he was an impeccable Joker. This dude had prosthetics on or something, and he looked more like the Joker than Heath Ledger did. This dude had the hair and everything flopping to the side and stuff, and he had the movements going. He had a purple suit, had the green hair and the red lips and the big scars and everything. It was truly terrifying. And everyone he ran into was like, oh, good costume. Chose Halloween to dress up as the Joker. Halloween, a day where we all put on a mask. We all pretend to be someone else, except that nigga. Like, that man was just wearing his true skin. This dude was walking around as a Joker like, I've never felt more free. Everybody terrified when they look at me. He rolled up on Tyler, the Creator. And Tyler, the Creator, was just looking at him like, He got into it that night with an actor on the show Power. I believe his name is Michael J. Ferguson. And I don't know what started the altercation, but all I know is people started filming it, right? And it was Michael J. hands low and everything. He had big muscles, he's a big dude and everything. And he's cursing Diddy out. Right now, he just thinks he's cursing this weird Joker out, I think. You know what I mean? Because he's just going at him, what? What you gonna do? Nothing, you know? And then Diddy, for his part, you see the turn. You got to see every little piece of Diddy in that moment. Because at first it starts out, and I really don't even know who was in the wrong, but Diddy just seemed a bit offended. He was like, what did I do to you? I'm just out here trying to have fun and everything. And then you see a turn, and then he's like, well, then let's go. Why would you? And then the threats come and everything, and then someone else goes, yo, Mike, that's Diddy. And he doesn't seem to care. He just keeps jawing at him. And then Diddy, for some reason, decides to like let it go, right? Even gives him a hug. And he was like, oh, it's all good, man. But how about you come to the after party and check the vibration? And I was like, man, this is the devil. Where is Batman when you need him? There's two types of blackmail that Diddy engaged in, right? One was the blackmail that was coercion, right? It was basically, he would have these freak-offs. That's the name of it. I didn't come up with that just now. Don't look at me like I'm sick. I saw your faces. I said it because it's the official term. It's in a government document now. It's not just street slang. It's not Twitter talk. They said, the Attorney General said freak off when he was addressing the nation. So I'm saying freak off. Well, he would have these freak offs, right? And, you know, he would be recording while it was happening. And one of the things that he would do is that if somebody was an unwilling participant and they ever turned on him or told him that they were going to go to the police or they just weren't going to do what he said, he would tell them he had a tape of them and they wouldn't want to get that tape out, right? So he would blackmail them that way. But the other way he would blackmail people is he would have these wild parties and he would be taping everybody. So if you just show up and you do something you're not supposed to be doing, maybe you cheat on your spouse, maybe you do. He's got blackmail on everybody, top to bottom. Two types of blackmail. It's absolutely crazy. So many people want this dude dead. They put Diddy on watch, make sure he doesn't hurt himself, because it would make a lot of sense. If there was ever a time to do it, it'd be now, Diddy. And so they put him on watch and everything, and that's gotta be wild to be like a powerful person, one of Diddy's friends, you know, knowing you were at some of these freak-offs, knowing that he has dirt on you. He might tell on you, and you just sitting there at home just praying. You know, I don't know who wants him dead more, his victims or his friends. That dude is such a monster, and now every clip of him being weird ever has resurfaced. And it turns out he was being weird the whole time. This dude went on Conan and basically just started giving a blueprint for how to get people at your party to take their clothes off. This dude was on Conan O'Brien. Conan was sitting there being like, this sounds bad. And by the way, this is old, this isn't recent. This is like what looks like early Conan. So it's still a little grainy, even though I was watching it on Twitter. And he's over here and he was skinnier and he had his shades on inside at night and everything. All the stuff we used to let him get away with. And he was like, oh yeah, you know, you want to make sure that you don't have the air conditioning on, you know, and you got to really have a lot of alcohol for people and a little bit of water, but mostly alcohol. And Conan was like, oh. You could see in Conan's eyes, he was fighting to find a commercial. He was Diddy talking like it's nothing. And like, he's like, oh, yeah, okay. Oof. This is one of the wildest things to me about Diddy, right? Is that he made an enemy a long time ago in a man named 50 Cent. 50 Cent hates Diddy so much. Okay. You ever been in a situation where, let's say there's somebody that you work with, right? And we're both just regular people, but y'all work together and you don't know what it is, but you hate them. And it's not even because they're bad at their job. They're not even being particularly annoying on purpose, but you can't stand. Every time they pass by, you want to grit your teeth. You hate them. You don't even know why. You don't know where it came from. You just hate them so much. Maybe they have a little quirk, or maybe they chew real loud. Maybe they chew so loud you can tell what they're eating. You know, just something real gross. Maybe they swallow weird and you can hear their esophagus and stuff. And y'all take your lunch at the same time, so you sitting in there while they eating, enjoying it, yumming it up. You put your AirPods in, you can't drown it out. You still hear and then every swallow just and you're like, that I hate. Ooh. And then things keep happening because y'all work together. Y'all work at the same job, so you have to interact with them. Maybe they're even in a different department, but you have to interact with them from time to time, and you hate it because they always bring up the weirdest conversations. They got a lot of feelings about tube socks. 6 sentences into a conversation, you're like, who is this dude? What? Y'all get each other for Secret Santa. You're like, I don't even know what they're gonna get me, but I know it's gonna be weird. Can't stand them. And then one day you're at work and you're at your wit's end, you know, because you hate them so much that you've actually been watching them. Watching them, waiting for them to do something fireable. You know? You even buddy up to HR just so that whenever you bring your case to HR, they'll be like, hey, yeah, buddy, I got you. I've been worried about him too, you know? Going to work, you can't stand this dude. You hate him so much. Sometimes you just look at the back of his head and you don't even know it's you doing it, but all of a sudden you standing behind him and your fist is right there. You hate this dude, and then one day you're at work, regular day. You at work, he's at work, and out of nowhere, you couldn't have imagined it. Truly out of nowhere, Homeland Security comes. And arrest this dude in his big mink coat or whatever he's wearing. No, I don't think anybody felt, more vindicated that was on the outer edges of Diddy's sphere than 50 Cent. 50 Cent had hated that dude for years. And look, 50 Cent isn't the one. Don't mess with 50 Cent because not only is he funny, which is already dangerous, he's so funny that you can tell he a natural bully. You ever been bullied by somebody and then went and tell people what they did and the people you told were like, that is funny though, like that is... I know it's wrong, but that was pretty good, like... Because we're not talking even about bullying in the terms of violence. I'm talking about bullying in like waiting for you to get real excited about something and then tricking you right at... Okay. 50 Cent, early in his career, he couldn't stand a dude named Ja Rule. If you don't know who Ja Rule is, then 50 Cent did his job. 50 Cent hated Ja Rule and hated him in a way that I was like, something deeper is going on here. Because you don't just hate a coworker this bad off of nothing. But he couldn't stand him. He felt like he was fake. There was even a series on BET called Beef. Beef was amazing because Beef would make these mini documentaries about different beefs that were happening in all of hip-hop, throughout history and currently. And at the time, one of the current ones was 50 Cent and Ja Rule. And they had interviewed both of them, because what they would do with the show that was brilliant was that they wouldn't just like give you this like faceless voiceover David Attenborough documentary style. Like, they really got interviews from everybody, you know? And so then they interviewed Ja Rule. At one point, he was on the couch with some of his buddies, and they asked him about 50 Cent, and he was just, who? Who? And they interviewed 50 Cent, and 50 Cent was ready. I don't know where 50 Cent was, but I think he made the smart decision to go ahead and be on a balcony or somewhere outside in case he got loud. And he just went in on Ja Rule like they had been longtime enemies. These are two dudes who I'm pretty sure don't know each other at all. But 50 Cent, at one point, he even said, this dude, I'll never forget this. This is when I fully understood like hate on a petty level in my life for the first time. Because I was a teenager watching Beef on BET. And he was on the balcony, so the balcony railing's about here. And 50 Cent just, they did a perfect job with the editing, by the way. They keep cutting back and forth. So every time they give a detail about Ja Rule, 50 Cent said something treacherous, right? It was really great, you know, because then Ja Rule would say something along the lines of like, I'm a star, I don't need to worry about up-and-comers hating on me, blah, blah, blah. And then it would cut to 50 Cent. 50 Cent would be like, yeah, go hang out with the pop stars and Christina Aguilera, whoever you want, if they'll accept you. But dog, you're fake. Like, it was like he was getting angrier and angrier throughout the interview. And I remember the interview because the last time they cut to him, I've never seen anything like it. They cut to this dude one last time, and he just went, psh. 50 Cent hated Ja Rule. And then Ja Rule got into it with Eminem. And Eminem and Dr. Dre had, signed 50 Cent, and they were a huge part of his career, especially on the come up, and they collaborated a bunch, and they, were touring together. They would have toured together more if Eminem hadn't decided to stay home and be with family and stuff like that. They tight, right? Making incredible music together, classics. And Ja Rule went at 50 Cent, went at Eminem, because he didn't have a crystal ball. He couldn't see the future. And it went terribly for him. I mean, Eminem just ripped him apart in several songs with references. There were moments, Eminem is too funny, Eminem had a song with him. Haley's in the song, and she's like, is Ja Rule bigger than me? And Eminem said, no, sweetie, y'all are the same size. And Eminem, for his part, was very much above board. I don't really have a problem with you. I was even almost about to squash it. And then you mentioned my daughter's name. My daughter's a kid, man. And so he just went at him, right? And destroyed him thoroughly. But 50 Cent was on a different level. 50 Cent was like, I don't think that this will ever be over. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you do. I don't care if you apologize to me. Never be over. I can't stand this dude. And Ja Rule goes to prison at one point. I don't remember what for. A part of me thinks 50 Cent had something to do with it, but there's no way for me to tell. But then, if I have my timing right, Ja Rule gets out of prison, and no matter when, I could be wrong about the timing here, but I know that the thing happened. Basically, Ja Rule has a concert, and it's gonna be like a big comeback, like get my career going type of concert, you know, like a welcome home party, a revival of Ja Rule's career. And the tickets actually sell fast, which I was perplexed by. Because I was like, how? Not even as a hater, just like, I don't know. It's like if you found out everybody in the world was actually into air hockey, you'd be like, I had no idea. You always see the table there, but So the tickets were selling fast, and, you know, nobody was probably more excited than Ja Rule. And then the day comes for the concert, and Ja Rule goes out, and it turns out that 50 Cent had bought most of the seats. I do my best to put myself in other people's shoes. And I tried to imagine what it would be like if I came out here and y'all weren't here. If it was just 3 of y'all in the back that I had to yell to. Imagine that, trying to still do the show. Yeah, it's crazy out here. But I said all that to say that 50 Cent and everything that happened is to show you that that's the dude that hated Diddy. Hated him so much, hated him to his core, couldn't stand him. For years he hated him. There was even a moment, okay, I'm sure you saw this, but in case you didn't, it's one of the things that really showed me that he hated him on like a petty level, a professional level, business level, all of it. I'm pretty sure it was Diddy that posted a picture of himself. I don't know where he was. Maybe it was New York, maybe it was not Miami or something, but he was on a bike. And he was just riding his bike, and then 50 Cent commented, you know he's smiling because there's no seat on that bike. $50 Cent is funny, and he's not the one. If 50 Cent came at me, I'd be like, should I just shoot myself in the leg or what? I don't want any problems. I'm very sorry for whatever I did. Please don't do this. Because I don't know when it really started, but you take it back, all the way back to the early part of 50 Cent's career, and he's popping, he's killing it, right? Get Rich or Die Trying is an all-time hip-hop classic. Curtis, all-time hip-hop classic. This man is pumping out amazing music. He's having incredible tours and everything. And at one point, he goes, this is years later from the time I'm talking about, but we're going to get back there. He goes on the Breakfast Club, and he talks to them about, you know, things he's promoting, and he's just chilling and everything. And Diddy comes up, and he tells this story of being at a wedding. I don't remember whose wedding, but he was at this wedding, and just hanging out and everything. And Diddy's there, and Diddy's chatting him up, being like, man, I like you. You know, you real cool dude and everything. Like, yeah, we should hang out. Let me take you shopping sometime. And then 50 Cent said, what? And Diddy doesn't say anything wrong, so he repeats it. He's like, no, let me take you shopping sometime. And he was like, man, get away from me. Because Diddy is so hated by 50 Cent that apparently A decade ago, 50 Cent just started gathering information on Diddy. As much as he could find. And he started working on a documentary series on how bad Diddy is. A documentary, he did interviews, he hates this man so much. I've heard of gossip. I've never heard of no, okay, we're gonna have the whole crew there by 3, all right? And we'll have a place for you to sit, we'll have some snacks and everything, we'll just chop it up, we'll just chat. Tell me everything that he did, that bastard, right? A documentary series that he's already potentially sold to Netflix. He hates this. I've never hated. So I not only do my best to not be a hateful person, I really try to let things go and not hate anybody. So I don't even know what it's like to hate someone. So I've never hated someone. So imagine hating someone so much you're willing to edit. You're willing to sit at the computer and be like, no, that's not. Let's see if we can make this B-roll work. This dude hates him so much that there's actually things on the cutting room floor that didn't make it in. Imagine you hate somebody so much you don't even have time for how much you hate them in the thing you made about hating them. And the craziest thing about it is that apparently, I don't know if this is true, but this is what I've been hearing. I looked it up from several outlets, and 50 Cent's documentary series about Sean Combs is titled, Did He Do It? This is the worst enemy to have. You know, you read even some of the stuff that Diddy's accused of, and now some of the text messages have leaked of what people were saying to him and what he was saying to other people at different stages, leading from Cassie coming out about him to present. And yeah, this dude is the devil, you know? But it's also, you're gonna need to be patient with me because I'm gonna try to say it right and I'm probably gonna fail, but just hear me out. You can tell that these people texting Diddy, the things that we've seen so far, because the trial hadn't even started yet. So the things haven't even come out that are the things that people are worried about. Because trust me when I tell you, Diddy the Black Epstein, they already put that dude on watch. But you can tell that he was a terror to so many people for so long, you know? And it's indicative of how we don't believe and protect each other. You know, it's really important that we do. Someone like Diddy is a prime example. When someone comes to you and they tell you that something happened, not only do you need to hear them out, you need to listen to what they're saying, but you also need to, with them, try to find a place where they feel comfortable to tell you more. You know, and what can be done about what they're telling you? Because sometimes people tell you something, they don't know what else to do, so they tell you, and they're like, don't tell anybody, don't do anything, right? And I'm not saying you should disrespect a person's wishes. I'm just saying that on top of that, you really have to talk it out with them and be like, are you sure you don't want me to do anything? You don't think that there's any recourse? You don't think? Let me bring you options. Let me try to help you through this thing, right? Because we don't do a good job of believing women, but I'm telling you this, and I know it's not gonna sound right when it first hits your ears, but please hear me out. We also need to do a much better job of believing men. Because it is not easy at all. It's one of the scariest things that a person can do to come forward as a survivor of anything that's happened to him. And when a woman comes forward and people do the thing, we already know what they're going to do. There's almost a playbook online of how they're going to treat her, what people are going to say, what's going to happen if it goes to trial, why now, they just want money, all the things. They never fail, right? But when a dude comes forward, you got to remember, this dude was probably willing to take that to the grave. And then something happened where he was like, no, I got to say something, right? You know, there's so many people who would rather die than have people find out what happened to them. So if they tell you, you got to believe them. So many people are letting the fact that Diddy's bi overshadow the fact that he's a monster. That's what's crazy to me, is that it's like, oh man, Diddy was over here trying to kiss the back of this dude's neck. It's like, yeah, you mean assault him? Yeah, I know. You know? I think that's why I'm so thankful for the era that we're in now of people being able to find things on the internet, just at large. I know the internet's a big place. I know there's a lot of artists, a lot of creatives and everything, but the fact that it's now more than ever in the hands of the people, as far as creativity goes and as far as like putting your work out there goes, it's a beautiful thing, because one of the reasons that people like Diddy were able to prevail for so long is because they had something. They had something that they could hold over people. They had power, they had money, they had your access to getting your work out there. And so people, you know, let people like Diddy manipulate and put them in situations they would never be in otherwise, right? But he had the power of a label. One of the best things that Cassie's lawyers did with that lawsuit was implicate all the labels. They didn't just sue him as like Sean Combs. They were like, no, I'm suing everybody. I'm suing the whole thing, because the whole thing's connected, because you use the thing to manipulate. But you don't just walk into a room and be like, I'm Sean Combs, everyone get naked. That's not what's happening. You use the label. You use the fact that you can shelve people. You use the fact that maybe their projects will never come out. You use the fact that they're waiting on the money that they need to fund their project. You use all of these things, and you say things without saying them. And before you know it, you have people in a horrible situation, you know? And one of the main things that I can't stop thinking about is how Diddy was able to get away with being Diddy for so long. You know, because there's so many times, there's so many little points in time where so many people's lives would have been different if Diddy had just gone to jail when he was supposed to go to jail, the other times he was supposed to go to jail. Like if you think back, way back, Diddy used to date J-Lo. And when Diddy and J-Lo were dating, they were like a hot couple, you know? And they were always in the tabloids and stuff, and everybody was following them around. I remember, I can't remember if it was the VMAs or the BET Awards, but she went to some award show with a dress that had everybody like, God, that's J-Lo, that's crazy. Oh, and she became this it girl and everything. And she was dating Diddy at the time, and they went to a nightclub together. And when they went to this nightclub, you know, I don't really know the circumstances of the fight starting, but somebody got in a fight with Diddy, right? And it's hard to tell when you in a fight at a nightclub. I've been to nightclubs before. I know it don't seem like it, but I've been to nightclubs before, and I've almost had some altercations at nightclubs. Not even because I meant to. I was just in there, just walking, having a good time, and then maybe somebody's yelling at you. Maybe they're trying to get your attention. Maybe they're trying to fight you. It's hard to tell all that stuff from regular dancing at a nightclub. You know? Because when you see people dance at a nightclub, depending on who it is, they look like they're in their own fight. They look like they're in a battle with the rhythm. They look like they're taking swings at the melody. So it's hard to know that they want to fight you. You know? And then people yell at a nightclub, but yelling is how you talk. It's so loud in here. You know? Like I was in a nightclub one time, I was walking, and I must have like stepped on this guy's shoe or something. I didn't mean to. And he was like, hey, like yelling at me, trying to get my attention. And I just turned around and I was like, hi. And that's... That didn't do me any favors, right? because I really didn't hear him, but leaning over and being like, ha, that's just offering up my face for the punching. And so Diddy got into some altercation with some dude, and no one knows everything that was said, but it was a lot of back and forth, a lot of like, well, I make money too and everything. And then apparently he grabbed some money and he threw it in Diddy's face, right? But this is the way I'd like to imagine it, because apparently it flew up in the air, and I think the only way that could happen is if he had the money, you know, balled up in that roll of money, right? And that roll of money that you just keep together with a thin rubber band, right? So that way when it hits something, the whole thing explodes. And he's like, I make money too, and he threw it and it hit Diddy on the head and just pow. Then it started to rain, right? And so then, you know, gets in this altercation, and then Diddy allegedly pulls a gun out, right? Starts firing off at this dude, okay? And whole like gunfight ensued and everything. And that was one of the wildest nights because, you know, Diddy and J-Lo were not quite like, I wouldn't say like clean cut because they were still like party and hip hop, everything, but they were this it couple. And now this horrible thing had happened and they were at the center of it, right? And there was even a whole trial, and at the trial, J-Lo testified that she only saw Shine pull out a gun. Now, Shine, if you don't remember, was a rapper who was popping at the time. And he went to jail by himself for 10 years. Diddy didn't go to jail. And there was even a woman named Natanya Rubin. And Natanya Rubin has said many times, she never stopped saying it, that she saw Diddy pull his gun. And she knows that Diddy pulled his gun because Diddy shot her in the face. And she survived and everything, but she didn't get any media attention or anything. And then, you know, publications just ran with the fact that J-Lo said Shine did it, and that was enough. Shine was guilty. He was off to jail. But even to this day, Natanya Rubin is like, you need to reopen the case. I'm right here. You know? And she had her surgery and everything. And I mean, to a certain degree, I watched her. She did an interview recently, and you can't really tell, but she says she lives with that pain because there are fragments that they couldn't get out, right? And she's like, he needs to reopen the case. I want justice, you know? And the journalist asked her, would you be willing to give one of the fragments and, like, you know, do the forensic test and everything, because they didn't do one apparently. And she said, yeah, of course. I got 9 fragments. I can spare one. The thing that did Diddy in, you know, really, truly, from his own nature, from his own core, were money, power, and fame, right? And money, power, and fame is a dangerous combination. Messes up a lot of people. Money, because, guys, money. This is what trajectory of money does in the mind. When you have no money and you just imagine having some money, that's even enough money. When you have no money and you're like, man, it'd be nice to eat. That's the money for the meal in front of you is all you need in your mind. You know, it's why people who are desperate, truly desperate, walk up to you and they don't ask for everything that they need. They ask for what they need to get by. They ask for change. They ask for the next thing that they need, because money changes perspective. As the more of it that you get, the more you become not necessarily an insane person, but your ideas, your wants and needs, they start to shift. And they usually, at a certain amount of money, leave Earth. Why do you think all the billionaires are trying to go to space? They're like, I did it all. I did everything here. What's up there? Can I own that? That'd be nice. Money messes with your mind. And then sometimes you think, man, if I had enough money for this thing, oh, I'd be so good. I'd be so benevolent. And maybe you would. But maybe you wouldn't. Maybe having that money and getting attached to it would attach you to it so tight that now I don't really want to have less than this. I don't know anyone working in America that's willing to get paid less. You know, we all have, and some of it's just human nature. We all have a little upward mobility, thinking about what's next, thinking about how we can build up. That, I'm not saying that's wrong at all. I'm saying at a certain amount of money, you just lose your mind. You know? And then power. Money and power, they get people to do some of the same things. Money, I'll give you an example. I was in Vietnam a little while ago, right? And the Vietnamese dong, which is their currency, right? One of our dollars is about, at least at the going rate right now, currency exchange-wise, is about 24,200 dong. So if you go there with your yearly salary, you are a billionaire in dong. And we look at our billionaires a certain type of way. We look at them as like, why is this piece of shit hoarding all this wealth? Is he out of his mind? Does he not know how many people he could help? This is crazy. It's billions and billions of dollars. And then you talk to a billionaire and they're like, oh yeah, well, I had this idea of how we could like get to space and stuff. So I'll just do that. It's like, we're dying. Why would you? No one cares about space. Why are you hoarding all of it? And then you hear, even in like a billionaire's, I listen to the audiobook because I don't like to read about, I want to know a billionaire's life, but to read it and learn it all slow feels upsetting. I'm just like, let me just let someone tell me so I can feel like I'm talking to a friend, like, what? You know what I mean? Like, that's a little bit smoother of a process. But you talk about, you know, like a billionaire, and the way that they think about us is insane. There are even billionaires that they've said it. Different billionaires are different levels of like loose-lipped. And there are billionaires that have properly said to a camera that they knew was recording, if people knew how good my life was, they would bring back the guillotine. That's what he said. And then you hear other billionaires tell it, and they're like, well, you know, if people are too dumb or too lazy or too scared to take the chances to make money, that's on them. The way that they think about us is insane. But then you see an American, a Brit, maybe somebody from Australia, go to Vietnam and be a billionaire, and it is harrowing how many people turn into our billionaires there. I watched it. I was in a market, right? And there was this British lady that was trying to haggle with this woman who had made this like homemade, like knitted little bag, right? And she was charging like, I don't know, maybe like 5,000 dong for it. Now remember, I told you $1 was 24,000 dong. And this British lady is actually like haggling with her. Like being like, what about 4,000? She's like, no, it's 5. It's like, what about 475? No, 5. And she doesn't know much English, and the British lady's getting annoyed with her, and I'm getting furious because I'm like, you realize the pound is doing better than the dollar, so you're just haggling like, what if I gave you nothing? Would nothing be good? What about nothing? You would love nothing, though. Like, if I gave you nothing, that'd make me feel better as I left. And this person is a billionaire, at least right now. You can tell that they're broke in Britain, though. Like, only a broke person would go somewhere else and then try to be rich really hard. Like, that's... I don't know why you front. You know you could only afford the flight. I don't know why you acting like this right now. Acting like these people are trying to cheat you out of something. You know you already have a leg up. It's crazy. But it is how billionaires think sometimes. Because then when we work at a corporation that's $1 billion, maybe even you work at Apple, Amazon, you work at one of the truly big ones that's about to hit the trillions of dollars, right? And then you want a raise, and you want a substantial raise, and it's nothing for them because they have billions of dollars, and they're still like, why should we give you anything? It's the same mentality, right? And so Diddy had money, and he had the type of money that makes people do things, bend to your will and everything. And so he bent it, and he had power. And this is the thing about power. I'm I'm someone who wants very little power. Because I don't know, I can think about what I might do, but I don't know what I would do with power. That's terrifying. Don't give me power. If I had the power to make Ted Cruz punch himself in the balls, whether it was like X-Men mind control or if I just had enough money that he would do it, if I could make Ted Cruz punch himself in the balls nonstop, his balls would never rest. I would go overboard with my power. And Diddy had lots of power. He had power, he had influence, and used all of it to garner more and to truly hurt people. He didn't care who he hurt. You can see it when you read the indictment. And he did it for long as well, you know? And then fame is the last thing. Fame, you can't actually control, especially now. There are people that want to be very famous, and they might get there. And then there are people who don't mean to be famous at all, but then someone's just recording, and then a TikTok is made. There are people who become famous overnight, and all they did was trip. That's too random. Fame is the one that gets away from you. Money, you can decide how much money you want to keep, how much money you want to make, especially if you have the means to just be making boatloads of money. You can take a step back and be like, a lot of money is enough money. I don't need all the money. Power you wield, and power you can also give away. You can tell someone, I want to bring you in. I want to make you powerful as well, right? Fame, not really. There are plenty of people that the industry has tried to make famous, and we were like, nah. But people with power, people with money, they can promise fame, even if they can't deliver. And because they have so much money and so much power, it looks like they can give you fame. And so that's another way that Diddy manipulated and abused people, was through his fame and the promise of fame that was to come to them. Right? And money, power, and fame is actually what screwed Diddy. Not just his own. The fact that he finally met up with the U.S. government. No government is more powerful with more money or more famous. And when you put the two up against each other, his is... Money and power and fame of the U.S. government, the money that they have. You think you have money, they can freeze your money. You can show up to court and they'll be like, oh, you broke. Oh, I'm sorry, you thought you had money? Oh, I feel terrible for you. It must suck to be broke. They can freeze your accounts. Power? You want to talk about federal power? Look at the conviction rate of federal prosecutors. It's in the 90s for a reason. People either plead out or they're like, no, I'm going to be vindicated in court. And the U.S. government is like, I bet you won't. Fame? What government is more famous, especially as far as their judicial system? What government is more famous than the U.S. government? You know? They looking at Diddy right now like, oh, you blew up Kid Cudi's car, that's cute. We killed MLK. And Malcolm X. No, you're done, bro. It's over. Because I think about how's a person become that evil? You know what I mean? And so a lot of it is ego. Ego's a dangerous thing. Ego is like a dish that only feeds you false fruit, right? Like the more that you eat off of your own ego, the more you starve your spirit. Like it's the way to sickness, you know? Like ego is this like still small voice, right? Telling you the most important thing is I. Like ego stands in like the middle of pride right there. But then when things happen, when consequence comes, ego never shows up. Ego is like a friend. Ego's like a friend that's like, hey, come on, the door's unlocked. Let's get in this house. No, let's just see what's inside. There might be some good stuff in there. It's like, but it's not my house. Come on. Then ego gets you to go in there. And then you're like, there's some shiny stuff. And then you start grabbing stuff. And then before you know it, you see blue and red lights. And you're like, come on, we got to get out. And ego's gone already. Like, I think about how it got here, you know, and how many people did he hurt and why he was allowed to get away with it for so long. And I can't help but think that a lot of what he was allowed to get away with is because it happened to black women. You know what I mean? When people say protect black women, they don't mean that black women can't protect themselves. We mean that when you look at the stats and you look at who the powerful people hurt because they know that they can do it, it's the same people. I guess what I'm trying to say is I hope Diddy gets life. And I hope he lives forever.
Please give it up, Detroit, for Josh Johnson!
There was one day I went to visit my grandma, and there was like a big old like living room type area where people be watching TV or just chatting or reading a book or whatever. And there was, do y'all remember the commercials for like a Rascal? If you don't know what a Rascal was, it was some direct-to-consumer marketing that was going on TV where you were old and you were in your little chair, but they made it feel like a motorcycle. They made you feel like you could really hit that throttle on them, right? And then you could go off-road with the Rascal, too. Like, you could just be going over tree trunks and stuff like that without tipping and stuff. And so there was a guy who looked like he had a new Rascal, right? And it wasn't going fast for us. Like, if you could walk, it wasn't going fast. But if you were in a wheelchair and you hit that throttle, you zooming, right? And so you could tell he couldn't really handle it because his head was back while he was. So my man's head was like all the way back. Like, he really couldn't look up, and which is crazy because I swear he was going this fast. Like, but my man is like, right? It was incredible. My man is just, you know, and I'm sure in his mind, you know, because everything slows down a little bit as you get older, and now you go in walking speed again, and you haven't been walking for a while. So now all of a sudden you're like, wow, this is what I did when I was back in my 80s, right? So, because I don't know how old he was, but he was dusty, right? He was. You know what I'm talking about. Don't do that. I'm not being mean. It's just at a certain age, no matter who you are, at a certain age, once you hit those like 90, like once you get up in the 9 in the front of the number for your age, there's just a level of like, there's a level of ashy that is time. Y'all want to act like y'all know what I'm talking about, but y'all know that Sometimes people get flaky. Okay. I'm gonna move on. Anyway, so my man is zooming, right? He like, and then on the other side of this corner leading to the living room is this other guy who's like in a proper wheelchair, but it has like some little modifications. So I guess it's not a traditional wheelchair. Like he's not fully pushing it himself, but it looks like it has like some little levers on it. I don't know what it was, but it felt like a knockoff Rascal. Like it felt, you know what I mean? Like it felt like somebody sold him some damaged goods where they were like, no, it's a Rascal. He's like, I don't see the throttle anywhere. Just keep looking. It's a Rascal. And so he's going like really, really slow. And as they're getting closer, you know those math problems? You know those math problems where like if a train... You know what I'm talking about, right? If a train leaves Detroit at 5, going 60 miles per hour, and then a train leaves Louisiana going 80 miles per hour at 7 o'clock, when will they crash? Because then even in school, they'd be like, when will it crash? I'd be like, this is a dark. Why can't it just be a delivery or something? You wrote the textbook and you putting crash. Now I gotta figure out when everybody's gonna die. I'm not even allowed to warn them in this scenario. But anyway, basically this dude has like, he's kind of turning the wheel, but it looks like it's assisted somehow, and the other guy's zooming, and then I'm standing at the corner and I'm like, who do I try to warn? Because in my head for a second I was like, they gonna miss each other because this guy's going way too fast. And then I realized that he going fast for him. He going walking speed for us, and then this other guy is going nowhere. Like very, very slow, right? And then, I'm not proud of it, but it took me so long to make a decision because I was bad at math. It took me so long to make a decision that they did collide when they both got past the corner. The fast one hit the slow one, and he tipped. And he didn't tip. This is the worst part, actually. So he didn't tip, like his chair didn't tip, right? He just tipped from getting hit, and then he fell the rest of the way out. But while he was falling, he was hanging on. Like while he was falling, he was like, no! So he's screaming no, like he don't want to fall. And to be honest, I had time to get to him, but I was so shocked that this was happening. And so then he kept falling to the point where one foot was on the ground now. I was like, ooh, you could stand up. There's still time to stand up. But then he had tipped like booty over knee, and then he was hanging, and then the chair was tipping to a point where I was like, the chair gonna fall on you. And then he just sort of let himself spill, but his butt was already on the ground, but he was still screaming like he was in the air. And then he finally let go of the little handle that was at the front, and then he laid back, and I was like, I probably could have done something. Because to be fair, it was going to happen whether I was watching or not. That moment had nothing to do with me. I was just a witness. And that's how I felt about the debate last night. Because whether you watched it or you didn't watch it, okay, I watched the whole thing. I watched it top to bottom, and okay. Everything happened that we, figured might happen. But this is the thing that I guess I can't get over. It happened so quickly. We were worried that like maybe an hour in, Biden might have like a senior moment or something. But he said, no, I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start slow and I'm gonna ratchet up. Because early, maybe second question, maybe first question, I can't remember. But he said something. And he was kind of trying to get through it. And when he was trying to get through it, he started looking down while he was trying to get through it. And then he stopped talking. I don't know if there's been a deeper silence in my life than when that man stopped talking. It was still his turn. He had stopped saying anything. And while he was not talking, I was talking. Like while he had been like, right? Like once he got here, when he was looking down, I was like, fall. Just fall. You'll clear this whole thing out if you fall right now. This man has had the nerve to fall every day, except that day there. I'm yelling at the screen, fall! If that man had fallen, we'd be having a different conversation right now, right? If he had fallen, they would have scooped him up on a stretcher. It would have been like, look, the president had a great answer ready, but you know gravity is a Republican, so the odds were stacked against him. He's brave for even showing up against that red Republican elephant-ass gravity. Oh, it was insane. I felt like I was going crazy because this is the thing that's infuriating, right? And I'll probably come back to it in a second, but the thing that I cannot get out of my head is that we all knew, and everything that happened is what we said would happen, and now pundits are talking to us on TV, on like legacy media, talking about what happened the way that we talk about what was gonna happen before it happened, and they want to convince us that they're worth watching. You ever tell somebody a story and then time passes and then one day they try to tell you your story like you didn't tell them the story, and you look at them like either you crazy or you think I'm crazy because I told you that. You're not bringing me any new information. That's what it feels like. It's like after the debate, I watched the after debate. And they were like, you know, he is older. These are the same people, by the way, who have been like, no, we have to chase him around the White House. We can barely keep up with them. And I knew they were lying then. Because that's the thing. It's like he did so poorly. It fully distracts from the fact that Trump didn't do well either. But you know how, okay. One time, I was with some friends, and we were headed to a party. We get there, and there's like two more friends that we're waiting on, and one of them is supposed to bring all the drinks, right? And one of my friends had already poured out a beer, was drinking his beer, and when we were stepping outside, because it was like an outdoor in front of the house sort of event, we're all on the lawn and everything, we see one of our friends who was supposed to bring the drinks, right, crash right into a light pole, right? And right when he crashed into the light pole, we all screamed, and a couple people ran over there. And then my friend who had poured the beer was like, oh my God, I dropped my drink, right? On its own, not good. In reference to something much bigger happening, nobody ended up caring, right? And that's how it felt. Like, it's insane. Like we are not crazy. We're not crazy, they're crazy. You know what I mean? We're not crazy, they're crazy. We said it already. They're crazy, they just don't listen. They don't listen. How do you not listen when it's everybody saying it? You know? Like, there was one time in particular where Biden was struggling to say something. And even Trump, even Donald Jail Trump, looked at Biden, and you could see it on his face. He was like, is this motherfucker all right? And you can tell because I'd never seen this on Trump's face ever. Trump had an actual eyebrow arc of concern. I've never seen him have that ever. He's never looked as phased to me as when he was looking at Biden next to him going, is it? Like, it wasn't an act. Trump was genuinely wincing, which concerns me because he was the closest to him, which means something worse was going on in person close to him than what we even saw. We think we up close because the camera's zooming in. No, Trump hears him fighting to breathe. It felt so terrible. It felt like when you're a kid, when you're a little kid, and you get into it with another little kid, and they're bullying you, right? And you tell that kid, my dad could beat your dad. And then maybe you go home, and maybe you go home with a shiner, maybe you go home with some cuts and bruises, and your dad asks what happened. And you're like, hey, this kid's been bullying me, right? And I tried to tell my teacher, and she didn't do anything. And so your dad's like, okay, I'm gonna go to school. I'm gonna go to school tomorrow, we're gonna sort this out. And maybe he goes to pick you up and settle things up with the teacher right when the bully's dad comes and tries to settle things up with the teacher too, because his kid told him a different story, you know? His kid told him, hey, this kid's school is being a bitch, so I had to hold him down and everything. And the teacher is like, look, everyone's here, maybe we can mediate. And so they do that thing that schools do where they don't really know how to help. You know what I mean? They're just like, if you could stop, that'd be great. Or not, I didn't see it, so whatever. But don't fight, because we have a zero tolerance policy on violence, so even if you fight back, you're gonna get expelled, you know what I mean? So then, now it's just you and this kid that you know bullies you, and then him and his dad teaching him his ways, and your dad teaching you his ways, and now they're outside, you know? And maybe your dad tries to have a heart-to-heart with the other dad, because both two dads of kids, and so he says to him, he's like, hey, look, can you... It was 1969. And then the bully dad goes, is this motherfucker all right? It felt crazy. Because we knew. And we didn't know this exact thing would happen, but we knew we didn't feel good, and we knew we didn't feel good for months. You know what I mean? Before there was ever a debate. When we just knew it was going to be an election, we didn't feel good. That should tell everyone something. not feeling good about an election that isn't even going to happen for another year, because we knew who the contenders were early on, right? Some people tried to run the Republican Party and they got washed, right? But we knew it was going to be Trump, and we knew it was going to be Biden for a very long time, and we didn't feel good since last year. And no one took that to heart, Republican or Democrat. People did not feel good, right? You ever get cold feet a year before the wedding? Because if so, maybe you shouldn't do it, you know? Maybe they're not the one. We're not crazy, they're crazy. You understand that, right? Like, it's not us. It's not us at all. Because, you know, we have eyes and ears and we use them or whatever. And that's the other thing that really stuck out to me, is that, you know, no one really talks about Trump's performance because of Biden's, but Trump didn't do that well. There was a lot of like open lying to the point where where do you do in that situation? Like, everyone was kind of trashing the moderators for not doing some live fact checking in the moment. Sure, but what do you do when somebody lies that much, and how they lied? Right? Because this is the thing. We found out last night that the tactics work. Trump lies fast. He talks so fast that when you hear the lie, you're like, but he didn't stutter, so it sounded kind of true. Like, I know it's not right because I was there. Because that's the other thing. He'll be lying about stuff that we were here, like, we all remember him being president. We were here. So don't tell me it was different. I was then. And Biden, I'm assuming, is trying to tell the truth. He's saying something. But we found it that, like, you know, a fast lie beats an unintelligible truth. It does. Even in your personal lives, it does. Let's say you out with friends, right? Out with friends, and then let's say, you know, you've been bad. You've been terrible even. You did a little cheating, right? And then you get caught. And now they're holding the cell phone in front of you and they're like, who is this, right? And then you say, who is it? How am I supposed to know everybody that's in my phone? Do you know everybody that's in your phone? That's crazy. People got contacts in their phone all the time they don't remember. Sometimes I go through my phone and I look at my contacts and I'm like, who are these people? Who are any of these people? It's a lie that almost sounds kind of fairly true. Like, do you remember every contact in your phone all the time? No. Or let's say you were out and somebody tried to get you to be bad. They tried to get you. Try to get you to do some cheating. And you were like, no, I don't want to cheat. No, I love them. Get away from me, right? But later, let's say later, unbeknownst to you, one of your friends thinking they're doing you a favor or maybe playing around or playing too much, right? They hand your phone to that person and that person puts their number in your phone, right? So now when your partner is holding the phone to you, who is this in your phone? What's this number? And you try to tell the truth and you go, I was like, Because before, in 1969, you know? Because what do we do now? What's the plan? You know what I mean? What's the plan? Are we just gonna move on like nothing happened? Or are we gonna just hope for the best? What's really the plan? Because we're acting as if there aren't other people that can run. And we're acting that way because of the circular thinking. Because look, legacy media, sometimes I trash them. People in the DNC, sometimes I trash them. But the thing that they weren't wrong about is the reasoning that lets you land where you were before. It's not lazy. It's not out of not caring. It's out of not having a belief and knowing your options. That's what happens. And it happened to both parties, by the way, right? It happened in both scenarios where there were people in the national conventions of these parties not really sure where to go from here. And so you go with what worked last time, even if it's not gonna work this time, you know? And I think it's tough. It's tough when you have something like that, right? Something where unequivocally we can all look at it and be like, yes, the man is old and maybe it wasn't his night, but this looks very bad and it does not inspire confidence in us. It doesn't inspire confidence in the people that we want to vote for this man, if nothing else, so the other man can't win, or because we really believe in the policies and the actions of this man, right? It doesn't help. And then you have people who are those could-be contenders, right? Because there's a conspiracy theory that I'd like to believe. And I'll share it with you, but I have no evidence for what I'm saying. There's a conspiracy that they wanted this debate. People in the DNC want this debate to be before the convention so that if he didn't perform well, there'd be time to rally behind someone else and replace him. I don't know if that's gonna happen, but it looks like a setup. It looks like a setup if I ever seen one. Like, you know? Because the idea that he was at Camp David prepping for this debate for a week and that they actually made him prep, because he was hoarse. Why is this man hoarse? It's because they had him really talking like he was going to be out there dunking on Trump instead of just giving him a week-long nap. Let that man rest. Y'all worked him so hard he showed up with a cold. Set him up to fail, right? Because who else could it be, you know? Some people say Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom's a tough one, though, because then, right after the debate, Gavin Newsom goes up there and does a full-on Ron DeSantis. Because remember when Ron DeSantis was running against Trump, he just didn't want to say Trump's name yet. He was like, I'm not running yet or whatever. And then it finally got time for them to run and he announced. And then he had a little bit of momentum, but then he had to go toe-to-toe with Trump and he didn't know how to do it. So he got aired out in front of everybody, right? I think Gavin Newsom had similar ideas. He was like, look, I'm going to support the president this time. I'm going to be in everybody's good graces. I'll run in 2028, right? But if there's ever a time, it's now. And it doesn't help when he goes on TV right after the debate and tries to negate everything that we just saw. Because it makes me trust him less. You know what I mean? When they're asking him, how do you feel about his performance? I mean, he's like, oh, come on, everyone has an off night. That's happened to everybody. I've been alive for a while. That has not happened to me. You know? Or you get Gretchen Whitmer. Gretchen. You know what I like about Gretchen Whitmer? Gretchen Whitmer would be good because Gretchen Whitmer, they already tried to kidnap her. So they already tried to kidnap her, so that already right there is like that's a die of January 6th right there. So she has some experience, like when they come, you know what I mean?
It's nice to be in Brea. I do mean it. I'm being sincere. I've never felt safer. Oh, no. The median income here is $123,000, so you may not relate to these poor jokes. Poverty, you say? Sounds terrible. Because y'all also have, like, kind of, okay, how do I put this? Y'all's crime here is a little bit like soap opera drama level crime. Like, there was a guy that just got arrested for impersonating a plastic surgeon. I've never been to Brea before, but that's the most Brea thing I've ever heard of in my entire, like, it's the most Orange County type thing I've heard of. This dude was impersonating a plastic surgeon, and a bunch of people came forward being like, I thought he was a plastic surgeon. And so he's locked up right now. Hopefully he goes to jail for a very long time. But apparently him misrepresenting himself as, there are lots of charges because he was practicing. But one of the charges is misrepresenting himself as a medical professional, which is only a misdemeanor. I'm not like a fan of jail, but that needs to be a felony. Like, that's crazy. If someone asks you if you're a doctor, you should have to say no if the answer's no. That's so crazy that someone's like, you're like a real plastic surgeon, right? He was like, like that. That is so horrific. Like, I don't think y'all understand. This dude needs to be buried under a prison. You have never needed like a medical professional without really needing a medical professional. It's never something that you've like dabbled with before. You know what I mean? It's also not something that you can just help with because you feel like it. Like, I'm not a firefighter. Don't have the build, can't carry the gear. But I've stepped on a cigarette before. Do you know what I mean? You know, you can step in, you can do a little something even though the job is not your full job. Medical professional is like black and white. It really is. And so, he was arrested. He apparently he did it again so fast after having done it the first time that the article I read said he was rearrested. That's not a word, is it? A journalist had to say rearrested, it was so fast. I live in Brooklyn, and I like it too. I live in Brooklyn, and there was a shooting in my neighborhood. This dude was like a known gang member, got shot at this bodega. He got shot in like the hip, like he's alive, he's all right, but he got shot at 5 a.m. There's no good time to be shot. But getting shot that early is... A lot of people don't know this about gangs. I've never been in a gang, but I've known people who were in gangs and like... But like... Gangs do kind of have office hours. Do you know what I mean? Like, at a certain point, they are like, nobody buying right now. Why would we just stay up all night? That's crazy, right? And so, it's not as if gangs are always just ganging at all hours of the night. They go home at some point. And so to be shot at 5 a.m. means somebody hates you so much, they set an alarm. Because the worst thing about getting shot at 5 a.m., if you get shot at like 3 p.m., right? You can call somebody, oh, they got me. What? What happened? I got shot. Oh, I'm on my way. I got you, right? You get shot at 5 a.m. Everybody gonna be asleep. Pick up, hello? I got shot. Oh, they got me. Come pick me up. I said I got shot. Pick me up. I'm bleeding out. All right. I'll be there in 5 minutes. Like, I don't think I would handle being shot well. But if I got shot at 5 a.m., I'd be like, shoot me again. I don't want to deal with these problems. I don't know. I saw the Biden signed it and everything. Maybe it'll happen. Talking about banning TikTok. The clock is winding down. Oof. Oof. $1 billion company. Maybe gone. They either have to sell off to another buyer. They cannot remain this Chinese company. Or they have to leave. I don't know how you make somebody leave Wi-Fi, but yeah, they have to get out. They'll be banned across the nation. And they say it's for, our safety and everything. They say it's for, security and stuff. Which I think I accidentally already gave them everything. Like, that can't possibly be true because I already let them turn my face into so many faces. Like, I've been a dog, a caterpillar, I've been like another dude. Like, whatever it is, they have it. But, maybe, whatever. And let's say that that's the case. Let's say that our security is at stake, and so they pushed this thing through Congress, and then they signed it in record time because it was a danger to us, and they care. I said, let's say. But let's say that is the case. Well, you know what? Good on them. Now do the pharmaceutical companies and the banks and the... Do you know what I mean? Yeah, we've been begging for insulin to be like $1 for decades, and they're like, the best I can do is taking away how you talk to people. Far be it for them to regulate a bank. Because this is my thing. That's what bothers me about it, is that I don't even care about the ban one way or the other. I really don't. It's like people are going to find a way to communicate. What bothers me is that it's like you're telling this other company how to run their business for the sake of the citizens, right? Which is exactly what we've been asking them to do for so many different things. Like, we're like, can you just get them to not sell us poison? Because the poison already in there when we buy it. And they're like, far be it for us to tell a company how to run their business. Yeah. I mean, far be it for me to act like I know better than the people who don't understand TikTok. Those hearings are always so embarrassing. They're so genuinely distressing. When these are leaders of, you could say, the free world, right? We call the president the leader of the free world, but the president is beholden by checks and balances to a Congress. They get that Congress to come together, and then they get experts and CEOs from the most powerful companies in the world, and they do a hearing where they're like, can you open my phone? see these CEOs, these billionaires, try not to smile, try not to be like, oh, I can do whatever I want. That dude came from TikTok, right? Dude came from TikTok, went to the hearing, and then dude kept asking him about China, and at one point the guy just had to be like, I'm not even Chinese. Like, I'm not Chinese. It's like you would think he was asking him for like spots to eat. The amount of times this dude had to say, bro, I'm not Chinese though. Like, I'm not. Like, I want you, it's the company? Yes, I am not, sir. I am not Chinese. It was funny because he started interrupting questions just to be like, you gotta understand that I'm not from China. Like, if I leave here with nothing else, you gotta understand that I am not from China. This is clearly just a me thing, but does it bother you when people ask you for directions? I get so nervous and upset. I have a range of emotions when people ask me. Because then, okay, I live in New York, and somebody's asked me for directions to get to the 2 train. And I don't take that train often, but I pass that train sometimes. So I was telling them how to get there, and as I was pointing, they pointed with me, and they were like, so this way. And when they went to point with me, I saw that they were holding their phone. And I was like, so what are we doing here? Is it a typing issue? Why couldn't you done stressed me out for the past 40 seconds. Because this is my thing, I'm so bad at directions myself. Like, just when I lead myself, I'm bad. So then if I have to tell someone else how to get lost, I get so stressed out about it. I assume everyone I've ever given direction to has taken the first turn I told them to take, and then they died. Like, I think I hold so much stress about someone listening to my directions and then either me being wrong or them not listening right, then still being lost and being like, that son of a bitch. I don't even know them. I don't know why I need them to like me, but I'm so, it's the worst. It's the worst. I don't want to make it sound like I'm being creepy, but I had a show. I was in Brooklyn. I had a show. And after the show, I was just hanging out at the bar. There were some people at the bar. I don't know if they were at the show or if they weren't, but they were talking about, it was 2 guys talking about just the general issue of like homophobia as far as just men are concerned, right? And one guy, they were both a little drunk, but one guy was saying to the other guy, he's like, we have to do something about it as a whole, because I look at my cousin and I love my cousin so much. My cousin is gay, but I don't think about, he's just my cousin. And I want the world to be able to look at my cousin the way that I do. I don't see him as some gay guy or something like that. He's my cousin. So we have to do something about overall homophobia as it stands in the mind, you know? And also, I just want to be able to eat a hot dog. There's not enough time to unpack everything in that one sentence. Because he didn't just mean I'm hungry right now. Like, he didn't just mean we have to tackle this issue and I'd like to eat. He means I want to be able to eat a hot dog, but I can't because of homophobia. No, sir. This is a fraught world for a lot of people. A lot of different groups have to deal with an incredible amount of persecution and a burden that they should not have to bear. But you eating a hot dog is completely on you. Because first of all, I cannot tell from that sentence if he's never eaten a hot dog because he's scared of where it'll take him. Because also, if you're so scared of eating a hot dog that you like, I can't do it, that's you. Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't need doing exploring. You know your destination. So I was like, either he's so scared he's never had a hot dog, or he eat hot dogs so wild that people pass by and go, what are you doing? And then he goes, this homophobia cannot stand.
I guess we're all doing better than Diddy. Oh, what a week. All right, if you don't know, I'll try to bring you up to speed very quickly. Basically, Diddy has been the devil for decades. And it's really only this year that everything's sort of coming to roost, right? It sort of started with a lawsuit brought by his ex-girlfriend, Cassie. And, in the lawsuit is detailing horrific things you will not, you will feel sick if you read the lawsuit. And Diddy said it was all a lie. Just nothing but disgusting lies about his character, and he settled the lawsuit the next day. I don't know about you, but I've never been lied on so hard that I was like, you better stop lying about me. I will pay you as much as you want for you to stop telling me all the stuff I supposedly did. I want to make sure that this is, how much does the check need to be? It won't be an escrow. It'll be in a check form in the morning. But I will pay you as much as it takes for you to stop lying before people start looking into what you said because everybody else is saying it. Well, no, it's crazy. And even more recently, more allegations and more investigations have been going into Diddy being alleged. Legally, you have to say it. Being an alleged sex trafficker and everything, to the point where, this week, the FBI raided all of his houses at once, just to make sure, every single one at the same time, make sure he wasn't house hopping or anything, just going everywhere. They grabbed all the homes and the homies and they pulled everybody outside, and it was truly astounding to watch, because if you've ever watched, I watch a lot of news, so I remember the Roger Stone raid. Anytime the FBI or Homeland Security does a raid, it's a weird hierarchy that you notice, because they'll show up to do the raid, right? So FBI or Homeland Security, they'll be fitted up, right? Top to bottom, they got the AR-15, they got the vest on, full body armor, they got the boots, they got the helmet, and then sometimes they actually have backup. Backup is SWAT. So then SWAT is also there dressed like SWAT, and we know what SWAT is dressed like. And then it will just be the regular police. And it kind of made me feel bad for the local police, because imagine you show up to work and all your coworkers look like Call of Duty that day. And you just have to show up with your chest. That's unfair to them. If I was a cop, I'd be like, y'all ain't got any extra ARs in the trunk or anything. I can't hold something. Y'all just showed up all prepared. Y'all said he dangerous. You know what? I'm gonna wait next to the car. That's what I'm gonna do. Y'all, this is bull. I'm not doing. And truly, watch any FBI raid. All the local police are next to the cars in the street. They're like, no, they gonna get him. They gonna get him. Oh, you better watch out, because they coming. All right. But yeah. They raided all that dude's houses at one time, pulled people out, were interrogating people, were trying to look for stuff in the houses. And meanwhile, a lot of people have been waiting on Diddy's downfall for a long time, so they track his movements. And I want to take a quick second, because a lot of people, as this is mainly a black thing, knowing about Diddy. It feels like the world didn't know, but black people, we knew. We were like, nah. Something happening with him that seems off. I don't know if I love that either. That's just been us for 2 decades with Diddy just being like, did y'all see that? You know what I mean? And so a lot of other people are catching up. So then there are things, when anything like this comes out, there are things where people ask, like, why is everybody talking about it now, coming forward now, stuff like that. I want to be clear. Diddy is not like a Harvey Weinstein in that way, right? Because with Harvey Weinstein, everyone started coming forward, and then people were like, why didn't y'all say something sooner? Look at him. We would have believed you. Like, we don't do a good enough job of believing women, but with Harvey, I'd be like, whatever y'all say he did, he did. I can just see it from his build that he did whatever. But Diddy's a very different thing. Diddy is scary. A lot of people are scared of Diddy. And you want to know one of the reasons why people are scared of Diddy? Because of where he comes from. There's gangsters, then there's gangsters. Okay? Diddy's dad has ties to Frank Lucas. If you don't know Frank Lucas is who Denzel played in American Gangster. That's who Diddy's dad hung out with. That's who Diddy's dad did business with. So when you ever rewatch American Gangster and you see that scene when Frank Lucas, Denzel, stands up and in the middle, broad daylight, middle of the sidewalk, a dude disrespects him and he pulls out a gun and he shoots him in the head and kills him in front of everybody because he knows nobody will say anything. That's who Diddy's dad ran with, right? That's who taught him his like ABCs and stuff. You know what I mean? When you see that scene, that's a bone-chilling scene because it happened. That happened. He did that. He killed someone broad daylight because he knew no one around would say anything, right? So when you see that scene and you see Denzel do that, just know that one of the extras in the background, at least one of those kids, is Diddy. That's terrific, you know? And that's why people are getting so scared of him, because we know that he just moves differently, you know what I mean? And a lot of people have been waiting on his downfall for a long time. So when the FBI was raiding, people were like, where is Diddy? And you know how these kids are now? They're very smart. They can track anything. They track Diddy's plane. And so while the FBI is raiding all of his homes at one time, Diddy's plane is leaving America. And I don't mean getting fueled up. I mean, the plane is over just blue. That's the ocean. The plane is gone, right? And the plane is headed for Antigua. Now, Antigua is still extradite. So a lot of people are like, why would he be going over to Antigua? Then other people said, hey, maybe he's landing in Antigua because everybody knows that's his plane. He's going to land in Antigua. He's going to get on a friend's smaller plane, and he's going to go to a country that doesn't extradite, like Bali, right? So then that plane lands in Antigua, it comes right back. When it lands, turns out Diddy was never on the plane. He was in Miami the whole time. This man is a terrible rapper and an incredible villain. I've been thrown for a loop consistently with him. Like, this man should be in a James Bond movie. A lot of people are just waking up to how Diddy is, you know? We knew. You know how you know that we knew? Diddy's the only black billionaire we didn't root for. It's a very big deal when you get a black billionaire. We're always like, oh, yeah, we did it. Yeah. I remember when that guy, you know that guy that gave the commencement speech at Morehouse, and at the end of the speech, he said he was going to pay for all the kids' student loans. That moment went viral. It was crazy. Kids were crying and everything, jumping up, screaming. I looked it up. I found the guy. His name was Robert Smith. Turns out he's a billionaire. He didn't give me any money, but I was at home like, we got another one. Diddy became a billionaire. We were like, good for you. I don't know about y'all, but I absolutely love when home drama spills out into the world. You know what I mean? I don't watch a lot of reality television, so I love when a real life couple just can't take it anymore. You know what I mean? Like they have to have it out, and they have to have it out now. And now is here. and here is where I am. So I get a free show. You know? I think it happens a lot in New York City because we don't have space. Like, y'all have real homes here. Y'all can be like, we will discuss this later. In New York, we don't have that. We're like, I want to argue in private at home, but home don't have no elbow room. I want to argue where I can move a little bit because I'm passionate with my movements. Now, if I'm arguing at home, one time I was arguing at home and I went like this to be like, oh, wait, just like to hold it up. And then I hit my elbow and there's no way to look right when you just stand there like, so sometimes couples just have to have it out in that moment, And I was walking. I try to do this at least once a week. I was on a walk with no AirPods in, right? Just really like be around in the world, And I think it's an important thing to do because it opens you up to what's happening around you. And I would have missed this had I had my AirPods in. I was walking, and as I'm walking, I see this dude bust out of the door of his house, right? He's running down the stoop of his brownstone, no shirt on, anything, looking terrified, like, what? And so I turn and I see what I can only imagine is his girlfriend or wife running behind him. And I was like, all right, this seems awesome. Let's see how it goes. And she has something in her hand, but it doesn't look like a gun, so I'm like, I'm willing to stay and see this through. Because if it's a gun, people get upset, they miss. Now she done shot me, I'm bleeding out. I'm not even part of your love. I'm laying there holding my wound, y'all done worked it out. Like, this could all be for nothing. It's just she's holding something, but I can't see what it is, right? And as he's running down the stoop, she runs down with him, and she gets to this specific step. And then she goes like this, right? She goes like this, and then a piece of what she was holding flies out and hits him in the back, and he goes, ah! And then she lets go of the other thing that she was holding. It slides down the stairs, and when it slides down, it's close enough for me to see. And when I look, it was the sleeve of a Hot Pocket. This woman done burned the hell out of this man with a Hot Pocket. In the known universe, there are about 4 states of matter, right? There's gas, there's liquid, and there's solid. There's also plasma. Now, plasma can reach a temperature of about 45,000 degrees Fahrenheit, and just under that. Close second is Hot Pocket juice. Hot Pocket juice must be studied. This will burn your soul. Hot Pocket juice is far too hot. It is absolute insanity, okay? Because we've all been there. We've all been there where you were hungry, you heat up the Hot Pocket, that's gonna be quick, and then you went ahead and you put it higher than the instructions say, because you know when you follow the instructions, the middle cold. So then you put it at least 2 minutes higher than the instructions say because you got a different type of microwave. Your microwave doesn't work like the box says. And so you put an extra 2 minutes, but now we're into heated territory that no one, even the people at the company, are aware of, right? And then you pull the Hot Pocket out, you hold it by the sleeve, and you wouldn't even be in this situation if you could just be a gentleman and wait, right? but you're hungry, you're greedy, you can't help yourself, and so you blow, you do blow. You give it a good try too. You blowing the bread. You're not doing anything for that juice inside. That juice is still bubbling like lava. Wait to bust out. And so then you take your first bite, and because you're hungry, because you're being greedy, you bite too hard, the juice pops out, it hits your lip, and you go, ah! Now you coughing because steam coming out of your mouth because you got the corner bread in your mouth with all the juice burning everything. Burning teeth. Just burning. Inexplicably, just burning and burning and burning. It's terrible. This woman was running after this man. We don't know what he did. I didn't stay for an interview. This woman was running down the stairs after this man and had the Hot Pocket sleeve in her hand and reared back like an ancient weapon. Reared back. And flung the Hot Pocket out. Flung it like she had done it before. Like, she must be burning him weekly to have this sort of aim. If this was a game show, I could never sling it and hit what I wanted to hit. And she hit, not only did she hit him in the middle of the back. She hit him in the spot. So it's in just enough of a position that he can't really reach it. Like it's not here, it's not here. Like this man is fighting for his life right now. She gave him 32nd degree burns. And my man's like, ah! And I want to help, but I'm like, I'm not gonna burn my fingers. Like, and then I had never stopped walking the entire time, but I did take off into a brisk jog. Because as he was holding the railing of his stoop, I saw her lift another Hot Pocket. I was like, let me leave before I witness a murder.